Welcome to Reflections, a program where we discuss values and virtues for the transformation of the individual and the society in general. I am Father George Ehusani, and I have with me in the studio one of those that used to be, the people whom we used to call super permanent secretaries in those days. Dr. Goke Adegoroye, you're welcome.
Thank you.
See, COVID-19, I can't shake you. Dr. Adegoroye is an academic. He taught for 10 years after having his PhD in environmental science from Vancouver, Canada. He taught for 10 years at the University of Ife, or OAU, and then he joined the civil service. He was, when they established the Federal Environmental Protection Agency, he went there as director and became its Director General in 1996. Then, 1998, he went to the presidency, and 2004, he became Director General of the Bureau of Public Service Reform. I'm going to take you to task. Public Service Reform. You are DG of Bureau for Public Service Reform. Then from there, he became Permanent Secretary in the Bureau itself. He became Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, in the Ministry of Culture, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Interior, and ended up as Permanent Secretary, FCT, Federal Capital Territory. I mean, what else? Super. I mean, you are in the class of Asiodu. Super Permanent Secretary. I can bow. I should bow. He retired from the civil service as Permanent Secretary, FCT, in 2010. So you know a thing or two about administration and governance in Nigeria. I am happy to have you in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
I have Dr. Adegoroye to discuss with me the whole issue of COVID-19 and whether this will bring the end of rogue governance structures in Nigeria. Will the reality of COVID-19, I mean, we are told that oil price is now sometimes below $20 per barrel. Yeah. Which means it is getting to a stage that is no longer profitable to continue to drill oil. Will this reality that is now dawning on us, will it bring an end to rogue governance structures? By rogue governance structures, I mean the kind of structures that make DGs, senators, Speaker of House of Assembly, President, governors to have a retinue of aides and to have 20, 30 cars taking them to the airport, to have a house in Abuja and house in Lagos and house in Port Harcourt and have one in overseas, to the kind of governance structure, even the bicameral legislature that we have that is so expensive to maintain, the kind of governance structure that makes us spend 70 to 75% of our budget on recurrent expenditure, the kind of governance structure that makes 1% of the population exhausts the resources of the country, and the rest of the people are living in dehumanizing poverty. Now, those structures were put in place when we had oil money flowing. And when for many years, we had more than $100 per barrel. Now that we have $30 or $20 per barrel, that is not even profitable to drill oil now, is this an opportunity for us to sit down? Do we have the political will to sit down and reorganize very quickly so as to begin to run a slim governance, manageable governance, and let leaders live on the level of the people that they are supposed to be shepherds over? Is this the time? Has the time come, Dr. Adegoroye?
I really wish this is the time.
Oh, it's only a wish?
Yes, it's a wish in the sense that the factors that make many of us continue to live on government, whether from our background in the society and our mentality, those are still pervading. That's number one. Number two also is the fact that the COVID has not prepared us enough to be able to ginger us to a realization.
Has not prepared us enough?
No, it has not prepared us enough, because when you look at the data today, the total debt in Nigeria It's still about 140 something.
And apart from that, what about the economy?
Yes, in terms of death. But in terms of the economy, it has not peppered us enough because some people still feel that there is some wherewithal to be able to do it. It will pepper us enough when society itself is able to begin to mobilize, to tell government, to tell our rulers, including those who find themselves there by whatever means, that enough is enough. I'm saying it hasn't prepared us enough because the society we are looking up to do that are still right now not just in denial and still looking for their own opportunity to be able to take.
Oh, so even like even the issue of the palliatives, people are looking for opportunity to be distributors so that they can.
Exactly. So everybody is asking, you know, it's not enough for me. They are comparing it with what is given in America, in what is given in London. Even those who had no job before,
they are queuing up.
They now have a sense of entitlement that they are doing government a favor. So something needs to be done. So, but as you said, ideally, that is actually why you have the elite, the leaders. It is now about time for all of us to sit down to say, enough is enough. The campaign that Nigeria is a rich country, you know, is a fallacy that will be carrying on all along. A fallacy that we also try to even, you know, prop up with that myth that we are the giant of Africa. We have the population, a population of unproductive people,
unemployed and
unemployed people, and so on. So that realization needs to come. That realization will come when those that we put in the National Assembly can be able to look at the nation, not in themselves, to say, wait a minute, we are all here now. The system that we are running cannot sustain us in another 10 years. I'm sure you probably have seen one video where Professor Wande Abibola, used to be with us at CIFE, was talking about their own experience when they were senator, okay, in the other republic. They were more like part-time,
yes,
okay, and they did not have house, they did not have anything. But look at what we've done since 1999. We started off by building residence for them, then we sold the residence to them, including even the one of the Senate president. We now say we want to build another one for those ones, and we are now spending billions. I feel like shedding tears because, hey, I don't know whether to regret it. You said I was in FCT. Yes, I was in FCT and I saw some of these things. That you are spending billions to build house for these people, when they themselves should now be saying, listen, not just by camera, but the fact that the system we have now cannot just take us anywhere.
We have a system that we call it a bicameral legislature that has up to 380 people in the House of Rep and has 108 or what?
109.
109 people in the Senate.
Yeah.
And each one of them is living like a lord.
Sure.
With a retinue of aides.
Each senator look at himself as if he were not just a minister, a ministry.
With staff,
in both the staff, in both the perquisites, in both everything. And so, with that kind of mentality, and when you want to correct them, they tell you that they're ones elected by the people.
Election by the people, does it entitle you?
The people did not elect you to go there and do the wrong thing.
And milk them.
And milk them. But again, a society gets the kind of leaders it deserves. Because the process of their getting there, they know what they did. You remember the last time when one popular senator had to confess that they were actually not winning those elections, that they were rigging. In case you remember, you know, Senator Mantu did actually say in public glare that many of those elections...
When electoral reform was being discussed.
Yes, okay. So he was honest enough to admit, even if he didn't admit, we know that in many of those cases, they were just writing figures. So again, it's like we move the society from a morally upright society to a totally morally bankrupt and begin to institutionalize brigandry into our political system.
Now, all those were built on oil money. And that oil money just appeared like there is a tree that money is dropping from. And, you know, a lot of the oil wealth was coming from offshore, and we didn't even see the work. I mean, people in Abuja don't see the oil work going on. All they see is the oil money. You remember the chief from the Niger Delta that they say came to Abuja and saw plenty of bridges.
Sure.
And said,
there's no bridge in there.
No water, bridge all over the place. We have water, no bridge.
Yeah.
So we don't even see the work done, but money all over the place. And I got to Abuja 12 years ago, 12, 13 years ago, and my shock was the houses. I lived in Asokoro.
Yeah.
The mansions. And do you know, 12 years on, many of those mansions have remained empty till today.
Yeah.
Now, that's a lot of waste of national resources. And if somebody can build a 5, 6, 7, 8 room mansion and leave it for 10 years, it means he has 2, 3 others. And you waste national resources like that, and the system does not put in place any checks. I am aware, for example, that some boroughs in the UK, if you are homeless and you can identify a house that has been vacant for 5 years, you go and tell the council officials, and you can move into that house. How come? How come we don't have such checks in this country that people can decide to waste resources?
So it's kind of, you know, borough are also made by the elites, and the elites are the ones who have this.
Our own elites?
Yes, are the ones who own those houses. Okay, I told you, I was in FCT and I could see how some of our people were just sharing what you call the land and the landed property in Abuja. Abuja, sadly, is a reminder or an evidence.
A metaphor.
A metaphor for our corruption.
Of the corruption in Nigeria.
Because every aspect of society, every aspect of the Nigerian society has been going down in the last 30 years. I wrote a 50-page paper for environment for the School of Environmental Technology, FUTA. And I went down the history lane just seeing how we have moved.
And we have kept going
You
down.
said you came to Abuja 12 years ago. I came before you. In 1993, when I set off from my hometown, Akure, coming to Abuja, it used to take me 4 hours. I'll be on the steering wheel from Akure to Abuja, 4 hours. Now it takes 9 hours. That tells you the state of the road.
Of the roads.
Okay? So, and you can see virtually everything like that. I'm sure, I mean, you were speaking to Professor Goke the other time. Those in medicine will also tell you the UCH used to be number 4 in the Commonwealth.
UCH, we are told that the princes in Saudi Arabia, used
to
come to
there.
UCH.
Yes. It used to be number 4 in the Commonwealth. So every aspect of our society, health, road, anything, even farm, all those so-called settlements that you hear about Awolowo and things like that. Do you know, even in Ondo State, we used to have a ranch that was producing milk in those days. All those things have gone down.
And I got to Ibadan in 1975, and I knew what IITA
was. Exactly. It was IITA in 1972 when I went there with my dad that spurred me to say I must have a PhD so that I can work in this kind of beautiful place. Okay?
And even the OAU, University of Ife, just see that beautiful compound.
Yes.
I mean, it's like paradise.
When I came, that's the word. When I got back, you know, University of Vancouver used to be celebrated as one of the most beautiful campuses in the world. And my supervisor, you know, Peter Jolliffe, I used to tell him that if you see my university. So when I came back in 1980, they had the first brochure, Africa's Most Beautiful University. And I sent it to Peter. And I said, Peter, remember what I used to tell you about my university? I said, from this, you can tell that if ever there is paradise, it will be located within the jungles of Africa. Okay, check this out. And he actually agreed with me. Okay?
But between then and now?
Between then and now, you go to the hostel. No, please don't remind me. Actually, I don't want to talk about that. So every aspect of the Nigerian society has been going down, but individual wealth has been going up.
More billionaires.
Social wealth going down.
Individual wealth going up.
Do you remember, I'm sure you've seen it in the social media too, okay, where one senator, popular senator, I don't want to hit you below the belt, you know, was celebrating the things he has got.
From my state.
You know, so the things as God's, you know, enmity fair. But I be asking God, you should provide more to let me be able to maintain what I've had.
Yeah, because I need to maintain the house in London. I need to maintain it
in Dubai.
I thought it was just a comic thing.
Well, it was a comic thing, but he had those things.
He actually had those things.
The cars go to the house in Abuja here. You see, other senators have gone to his house. You know,
retinue of expenses.
Do you know what? You just read my CV telling you that I was this. After I finished my first term as DG, and I was in the president in 1999. That person was in ABU as a student. I know because when there was any kind of upheaval, it's one of the people we reach out to help quench it. He was still a student then. So if an individual from being a student just 20 years ago has grown that well,
and we're not told that he founded any company.
No.
We're not told that he rose to become director in any ministry.
No, he was in politics. All we know is that he's been in politics. Okay? So the majority of the wealth has come from politics. So, but it's not the only one. It's just that at least it's one that is even a bit honest enough to show it. So what about the others? So that's the painful thing. That is also why in one of my writers, when I was doing about that environment, I said we will need to create a second stanza for our national pledge. A second stanza that will remind us that we do not need, if you give me time, I will read it here.
It's a proposed second stanza.
Yes, proposed second stanza. So that will prick our conscience, because we are all religious, whether as Christians or as Muslims or whatever. Our national pledge says, and I was now saying here as my prescription, as an immunotherapy against corruption, that since we like to play up our religiosity, then let us do a prayer, along that line. First stanza, the Nigerian pledge says, I pledge to Nigeria, my country, to be faithful, loyal, and honest, to serve Nigeria with all my strength, to defend our unity and uphold our honor and glory, so help me God.
Yes.
And I say, let's introduce another stanza for everybody. Okay? So I will now say, in the discharge of my duties, you can now insert, whether as a public officer or contractor, for the provision of infrastructure, social, regulatory, and enforcement services, if I engage in corrupt acts,
yes,
and or exhibit such level of inefficiency and greed that will make me acquire undeserved comfort and wealth,
yes,
as to cause untimely death and or misery to my fellow Nigerians,
yes,
may their misfortunes be upon me and those with whom I share the ill-gotten wealth. So help me God. If you make anybody, when you do your procurement,
yes,
if you sign the contract, let them read
Let
this.
them write
You are
it.
swearing in minister, let them do that. In the National Assembly, let them sign that. So when I said that, the student just shouted, amen, so help me God. Because seriously,
in the discharge of my duties as a public official or contractor,
yes,
for the provision of infrastructure, social, regulatory, and enforcement services, if I engage in corrupt acts and or exhibit such level of inefficiency and greed that will make me acquire undeserved comfort and wealth, as to cause untimely death and or misery to my fellow Nigerians, may their misfortunes be upon me and those with whom I share the ill-gotten wealth. So help me God. This is an interesting dimension. I have for Terra, and then we have been teaching it in our anti-corruption campaign that we do, a pledge, an anti-corruption pledge that says, I will never engage in this. You have added a cost.
Yes. Yes, I will never, they say it. If you see the oath of office in Nigeria, it also says many of those things.
But that it doesn't.
But Nigerians, they just say those things. It's like oath in marriage.
Yes. You
marry people, they say, I'll remain faithful.
And then
3 days later, the person is probably going to the club and is doing something else. But this one, Nigerians know the power of course. Because even those who worship Ogun know the power of course.
Which is why in our anti-corruption campaign, the anti-corruption campaign, which we did with the support of Makoto Foundation, we actually have a pledge, an oath, a religious oath that people take. Because I am a Christian, because I am a Muslim, I will not do this. So help me God.
Exactly.
The difference between our own and your own is that instead of just so help me God, your own has, may I suffer for it.
Sure. Sure. I'm sorry that I have to go that way. It's also a result of my experience. 35 years in service, 10 years now out of service, and I'm seeing some of those things. Whether in those we left behind, it's even worse in the ones.
What you are saying is akin to what Professor Epiphany Azinge, on this seat, he came and he said, look, enough of Nigerians going to the court and the court as Christians and Muslims holding Bible, holding Quran.
Yeah.
He said because they are not keeping to it.
We are not faithful.
He said that
they should.
He said that they should hold iron.
Ogun.
that is the fire for fire.
Yeah.
And that one, he said the result is immediate. But that the Christian God looks to...
God is so kind. You know, Allah is so merciful. And yet our people will take right. Because when you look at the two religions, you know, Islam teaches simplicity.
Simplicity, frugality.
Frugality and everything, including even the burial. Yes. And then you begin to wonder, where did we get all this?
Where did we get all this? Look at the life of Christ.
Look at the life of Christ. And yet, okay, so when we do this, because when you look at that thing that I put there, it didn't just even say those who are perpetrating it, including those who share the benefit.
Oh, Abi?
So that when you are bringing it, no. Well, please, carry your cost money away.
If you share the goods of a thief, you are part of it now.
Exactly. But for now, they don't think like that.
Now, before, we have a short time left. Before we conclude this program, you are DG of Bureau of
Public Service Reform.
Public Service Reform.
Yes.
For 1 year or two?
I was there for 3 years and 8 months.
So, shouldn't I hold people like you, DG of Public Service Reform, for the lack of reform in our public service?
Yeah.
Shouldn't I hold people like you responsible?
You are correct, you should. But you must also remember that I manage certain things to give ideas. And we are looking at those who are higher than us to take those ideas and run with the ideas. Remember when you were talking about the COVID-19 and whether it's going to wake up to something. I said, I really wish it can wake up. This is the time now to say we need that national conference.
So part of what the fallout of COVID-19, the fallout of COVID-19 on the economic front is that everything we were relying on for the kind of bazaar that we have in the name of governance, what we were relying on, oil money, is going away. Because actually, I hope you know that even when the virus is gone by the grace of God, a lot of people are learning to work from home. So people will not need as much of our oil as before. Winter is gone now. So for the rest of the year, they may not need that much oil. A lot of people are going to be working from home and so on and so forth. People are learning not to need our oil. It means, therefore, that we cannot continue the bazaar. So the question I started with, is the bazaar over? And you are saying it depends on the political will of our people. Do we need... You have just mentioned national conference. Do we need national conference now, quickly, in order to decide that a government, what I called before, rogue government structures that were put in place because we had oil revenue. Oil revenue is going. Do we need national conference in order to discuss the way forward?
Certainly, you are correct to say the time of the bazaar is over. It's striking us in the face. The facts are there. Government knows it. The people know it, even though they do not want to believe it. But we are saying that the way out for government is to bring out a peaceful way of helping the society to transit. That peaceful way is where they need to look out to, where we're talking about national conference. Because if they do not, from below, there's going to be an uprising. And the uprising is actually, I don't want to really scare people. Uprising will come when they are not getting the money. You know, part of the tragedy of the oil something is that it is the only sector of the economy that, even though you say it's generating more, about 60% of Nigerian foreign earnings, but does not engage 0.1% of the population. So it's just drill. So it actually rendered our people useless. So that kind of conference will now tell us we need to migrate to those things that will be able to engage us in labor.
I mean,
whether it's agriculture, whether it's industry, whether it's petty
you are
days
from
and so
Ondo
on.
State.
Yes, please.
Ondo used to be known for cocoa and coffee,
Sure.
for agric.
Cocoa, yes.
And even for staple foods, agric for staple food.
Sure.
My own people used to farm a lot, in Ondo State.
Yes.
Now, if everybody just left and then everybody is now a political talk, and so on and so forth, it means we definitely need to think again.
Yeah.
On that note, we will bring this segment of our discussion to an end. I have been speaking to Dr. Goke Adegoroye, a super, if we can still say super PAMSEC. I mean, after serving as permanent secretary in several ministries, DG in a number of establishments before permanent secretary, you qualify as super permanent secretary. And we are happy that you are still around and strong, and you are publishing books. One of the books you showed me before we went out on the governance. Yes. Restoring
good governance in Nigeria. It talks about structure of government. It talks about all the leakages of government, but this is focusing on the public service.
Yes.
But like you and I know, the real problem is not even so much of the public service. It's at the political end.
Level.
Because the wastage that is in the other side.
Oh, this is volume 1 and 2.
Is volume 1 and 2.
Wow.
This one is leadership and political will, assessing how those who are in the leadership are able to manage.
We shall talk more on this, and in another segment we shall arrange to discuss the Oransai report that is to be revisited now, and your ideas about it. Thank you very much for coming to the studio. Like I said, I've been speaking with Dr. Goke Adegoroye, a former retired permanent secretary, FCT.